Hello. Welcome to the program Spiritism Inspiring Lives. Today, our reflections will be about necessary and superfluous. Always bear in mind that our reflections are based on a transpersonal perspective of life, where we as immortal beings are involved and are interacting. And necessary and superfluous will be some viewpoints departing from the immortality of the soul, as we are the continuation of ourselves in the learning process. So we start here with the Spirit's book. Always bear in mind, as I like to present, the Spirit's book is the philosophical aspect of Spiritism, and it is available free of charge for all of those who intend to look into it. Free of charge on the internet, or you can buy it on the internet as well. The Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, which is a book of questions and answers. Here we start today, in order to facilitate our reflections, in the Spirit's book question 715, and I quote, "How can people know the limit of what is necessary?" And then the answer is always given by the Enlightened Spirits, saying, "Those who are bounded know it by intuition, but many recognize it at the cost of their own experience." So why is this question has been raised around 2000 years back? In order to help humanity, ourselves, who are reincarnated through a new physical body on the school earth. The question, how can people know the limit of what is necessary? Isn't it a very interesting question? I do think so. The answer will be very individual. And why is that? Because all of us, being unique individuals, we have developed ourselves on our intellectual intelligence, on our emotional intelligence, and also on our spiritual intelligence in different levels, resulting that we have different ways of understanding the transitory experiences. For instance, when we reflect about the necessary, what is necessary for me, what is necessary for each one of you may differ according to the level of our ethical, moral, intellectual evolution that we conquered so far. So those who are more evolved because they put effort into, they studied, they transformed themselves, renewing themselves in the understanding, they already have the wisdom through the intuition to know what is necessary is what is simple. I don't need to have too much things around me, but perhaps if I'm still in a stage of evolution more immature, I still may have much more necessities, much more needs of what I feel that is relevant for me in this stage. So it's all about reflecting, getting to know who we are from a transpersonal perspective, and understanding that our choices in the present will impact our tomorrow. Could be the next moment, the next day, the next month, the next year, or the next existences where we are. And those who haven't yet conquered this experience to have the intuition more developed, that means their inner wisdom promoted, then we learn through our own experiences, that we learn to discern gradually, day by day, through the different existences, because we are all under the natural law. Natural law is the law of love, which helps us to promote and to grow through the different existences that we will attract in order to get more knowledge, get more wisdom, and learn to do things in different ways. As we carry on our reflections, moving is still in the Spirit's book, question 716, Allan Kardec, the French educator and philosopher, asked Enlightened Spirits, and I quote, "Hasn't nature traced out the limit of what is necessary in our own physical organization?" And the Enlightened Spirits, helping humanity, myself and all of us who are willing to study a bit more, are teaching us by saying, yes, but people are insatiable. Nature has traced out the limits of their needs in their physical organization. but their vices alter their constitution and create artificial needs. Let's understand the question. Has nature traced a limit? Nature, yes, because we are all under the natural laws of life. And the natural laws of life are God's laws. They are universal laws which guides us in our progress and our evolution. And they are laws always promoting the goodness within, always promoting our own elevation. Our physical organization also is under the natural laws that we bring innate the references of balance. For instance, I bring all of us the limit how much we can eat in a healthy way, and our body will signal that. But if I have vices, I'm unbalanced on my eating habits based on my emotional conflicts and so on and so forth, then although my biological, physical organization have limits, what is healthy, what is good, my psychological dimension, where the habits initiate through my thoughts, then I can go beyond what is healthy temporarily. But I may learn gradually also to re-educate myself, to readjust myself. I just gave one example, but many others. I may do too much exercises biologically, physically speaking. I may also, perhaps instead of favoring health, I may damage my body in some ways. That is another example. So it's almost to address our three-dimensional essence as we are once we are reincarnated. That is, essentially we are spirits. We have an astral body or a perispirit, and we express ourselves through the physical body, the physical organization. So all tendencies, they initiate on our thoughts, in our belief systems. And we are all on earth in order to learn more of these three-dimensional beings that we are, and how we can gradually re-educate, restructure ourselves in actualizing habits, in actualizing tendencies, and even re-educating vices. Vices are nothing more than habits. Habits are nothing more than experience that somewhere, somehow, we learned, we initiate, and we keep on repeating. And now, considering evolution, which happens through changing, we develop new habits, new conditions, and therefore we override our own unconscious memories. Moving further here in our reflections is still in the Spirit's book, question 717. I quote, "What should be thought of those who monopolize the goods of the earth to get for themselves what is superfluous, to the detriment of those who lack the necessary?" And then the enlightened spirits are enlighten our hearts and minds by saying they do not understand God's law and will have to answer for the privations they have caused others. That is a very interesting question, because we still, we as humanity, and we say that with respect to everyone, we still are in a very infantile level of understanding the natural laws in the universe. And therefore, we are still coming from a very long journey of materialism. That means very rooted in selfishness. So selfishness and getting more without respecting sometimes other people. That is still, even in the 21st century where we are living, is still unfortunately in evidence. But according to the natural laws in the universe, which are based on love one another, we learn that we heal ourselves from these eventual experiences or conditionings that we bring within, that we want to overrun other people. Doesn't matter if I let others without having the basic needs, as long as I get more money, more power, more materialistic things in my life. And that is to the detriment of our own inner health. Gradually, as spirits, we will wake up, we will become aware that that is not the right way. We are here as social beings and as things to learn, to share. And God's laws, as I mentioned, they are written within the conscience of all of us. And as we evolve through studying more, learning more, all the theories are evolving, gradually we are coming to understand, to accept, and also to choose ethically according to ourselves, our own minds, our own beings, and also in relation to others. Because whatever we take from others, which is not ethical, not under the law of love, that sooner or later we are invited by the universe to return. Because taking from someone what is not down to me, but merely through selfishness, through vanity, I'm unbalancing the universe. So I'm invited sooner or later to harmonize myself again. So in order to avoid certain experiences, when we choose to be more fraternal, more solidarious, more understanding that we are all actually brothers and sisters in humanity, that we don't want to cause pain to others, because deeper down we are coming from a painful space within ourselves and we keep on hurting ourselves more. Then moving on, still in question 717, which is a note which complements the question which we referred previously. I quote, "The line between what is necessary and what is superfluous is not absolute. Civilization has created necessities that do not exist in the primitive state, and the spirits who dedicate these precepts do not mean for civilized humans to live life like primitives. Everything is relative, and it is up to reason to place each thing in its proper place. Civilization develops moral sense, and at the same time the sentiment of charity, which leads people to mutually support one another. Those who live at the expense of others' privations exploit the benefits of civilization for their own profit. They have only the varnish of civility, just as there are persons who possess no more of religion than its appearance." These clarifications in the note are very helpful, actually, when we are reflecting about necessary and superfluous. As they started our reflections, that differs from person to person. This is why we are signaled here to understand that necessary and superfluous, they are not absolute. They are relative according to the understanding of each being in evolution. And also, when we are talking about the necessary, that does not mean that we are invited to live lives as primitives. No, we are emerging from a primitive state of our evolution already. We are just invited to reflect within ourselves as immortal beings what is necessary for me, who are in this new physical body, with the possibility to promote myself with values, with concepts, with conditionings, which are good for me now, but also are good later on. What is relevant in my existence currently? So it's not that we cannot have things. No, Spiritism always leaves it up to us. We can have everything that is available on earth, as long as we are always opening our eyes to look forward in the future. I'm a being in evolution, and actually, when the moment comes for me to free myself from the physical body, I cannot take anything with me, but I can take the emotional and psychological, spiritual experience on the level of energy. And surely we are willing to promote our energy in a lighter way. And also, the civilization, as more as we evolve morally, ethically, according to God's laws, which are the universal laws based on love, we naturally will have the innate tendencies to do good for ourselves, to do good for others. And we don't want to live on appearances. We don't want anymore to have our identity based on things or think that we are the things, the values of money, of houses, or whatever. No, we can have them, but we are not attached to them. Is that making sense as I'm reflecting here? And then if we move on now, in the following question is still in, sorry, I lost it here. It's 992, yes. A bit lost in here. Earthly happiness is relative to the position of each person, and what might be enough for the happiness of one would be misfortune for another. Is there, nevertheless, a common standard of happiness for all? That is interesting, isn't it? Because if we say that happiness is relative, the necessities are relative, the superfluous is relative as well, then is there something else, a common standard for the happiness of all? And it's so interesting, at least for me, to learn from the Enlightened Spirits when they say for material existence, it is the possession of all that is necessary. For the moral life, it is a good conscience and faith in the future. And again, even receiving this information from the superior spirits in helping us to reflect, to analyze ourselves, it will differ from person to person, as I highlighted previously. What is from material existence? Because we are in a material organization, which is the physical body, interacting with matter all the time. What is necessary for me? Bear in mind that I'm an immortal soul. When we come to the moral life, what is the good conscious faith in the future? What does it mean for me? What do I need to conquer in developing my emotional intelligence, in developing my intellectual intelligence, in developing my spiritual intelligence based on my immortality? I leave it, the answer, up to each one of you, as I'm also reflecting by changing and adapting myself every day. Moving forward in the next question, 923, in the Spirit's book, I quote, "What for one is superfluous will not represent for the other the necessary, and reciprocally, according to the respective positions." The questions come from different ways, always helping us to receive more information from the spiritual world while we are on earth, helping us to guide our options or decisions. And I quote, the answer is yes. According to your materialistic ideas, your prejudice, your ambition, and all your absurd notions for which the future will demand justice when you finally comprehend the truth. Obviously, those who have had an income of 50,000 would then see it reduced to 10,000 would consider themselves most unfortunate because they cannot maintain the demands of their social status, that is, keeping good horses and servants, gratifying all the passions, etc. They believe that they lack the necessary. Frankly, however, shouldn't you consider them worthy of pity, while besides them are others who are dying of cold and hunger without a place to lay their head? To be happy, the wise look down, never up, except to raise his soul to infinity. Here we are reminded that there are other values beyond the materialistic perspectives. As we are beings who become more self-aware, naturally from within, we have the natural desire to share our life, our experiences with others as well. Although we can benefit from it, all the money that we receive, honestly, we are entitled also to use for the good that we promote for us, for our families, and for others. That is the charitable aspect on the moral level. And there are so different ways that we can help each other, actually. And in that way, in these brief reflections in relation to the superfluous and necessary, Each one of us can even explore more, read more in the Spirit's book, and find out what in this stage in our progress really I do need in my life, and what I already can feel when I listen to my wisdom on the emotional level that I do not need anymore, and freely using my free will, choosing to let go what I already can live without, and simplify my existence as a being in evolution on earth. And to finalize our reflections, we bring in the Spirit Emmanuel, great spiritual benefactor, in his book Caminho Espírita, under the message O Essencial. He teaches us by saying, and I quote, "The essential will not be so much what you have. It is what you give of yourself and how you give it. It is not so much what you get. It is what you share and how you do it." So let's all reflect about these words of wisdom and how we feel when we read, when we hear them, and how we can imprint them in our hearts, and also through daily experiences beginning to practice more the necessary and superfluous based on the essence of our existences, that is that we are all spiritual beings in evolution, although we have our material necessities, but we can also learn to decondition what is under the superfluous, and in that way learning to share more our own values that we may have, our own goods, and also expand our hearts in terms of brotherhood, in terms of doing good in the environment where we are, being in our families, our societies, our communities, our workplace, wherever we see that we can share more of what we already bring in terms of real values, essential values. And in that way, I wish you much peace to all, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.